was sweet.
Welcome to Rainbow Soul Vodcast, where our Soulstrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and Lacrosse's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else Rainbow Soul is offered on our website at rainbowsoul.show.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. I'm Hollis Taylor, and I'm one of your astrologers here today. And I'm an astrologer, so you can get readings with me, and there's all kinds of information about that in the description of this. And I can post a link as well. It's divineandrogen.com. You can go there and you can book an astrology reading with me. I do all sorts of astrology, including death astrology, which is pretty popular, where I look at someone that's already passed in your life and I help you understand that death a little deeper. And
hi there, I'm Bright Hawk. You can always learn more about me at brighthawkproductions.com. I'm an astrologer, an artist, a musician, storyteller. I do a variety of art, including one of these right behind me, crystal grids. And they're on wooden cookies that I end up cutting from the forest, taking care of the woods and making art out of.
Yeah, they're really cool because you can like put your crystals down on them and focus your energy, like this with this one here. This is like grounding, if you're looking for grounding energy, or if you're trying to meditate so you can connect to the other side or something like that, or get some psychic type of abilities going, then you want to connect with your third eye here with Om, right? And so both sides, it sort of serves two purposes. And of course you would arrange crystals however you're called to, and it's hand painted, one of a kind. You won't find anything else like this out there.
We help promote each other, right? Thanks, Hollis.
Hey, you're welcome.
So, and our typically our third, who is Lacrosse, isn't able to join us just now, but it's their birthday month, so we hope they're having a good birthday month. All Libras out there.
Birthday and anniversary. I think he has both in the same month.
That's true. October's a big month for them.
Yeah. He's got I think his birthday's in the beginning of the month and the anniversary is more like Samhain, Halloween. Yeah. So anyway, I hope all of you are doing good. We're here today to bring forth the Soulstrology forecast for this week, to help you understand and navigate the energies that are going. There's a lot going on this week and we want to get to it. And I think first, though, we're going to do a little meditation, okay? So I want to invite you all to take a little breath with us. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you can. And I want to invite you to just walk along. To walk along your path that you know is laid out for you. And it's night, but you can feel the stars above almost lighting up the landscape for you. You look down, you can feel your feet on the ground. And as you slowly move forward, you look around to the trees all around you, leaves rustling in the cool, crisp air. You can feel that fall is settling. And as you look up in the sky, you can see all of the constellations that seem to go on forever and ever. There seems to be no end to all of the stars above you. And there's constellations, and some of them you know, and some of them you don't. And one bright star starts to zoom in to you a little. And you kind of realize that that's no star, but that's a planet. And as it zooms in, you can see what feels like and looks like the planet Jupiter. And in your mind, you know this planet is Jupiter, reminding you of the good things that happen for you, reminding you of your good luck, reminding you of all the gifts the universe has given you. And as it's spinning around and around in front of you, you see that it's kind of slowing down a little bit. And it begins to go backwards. Making you reflect, revisit, and feel inside of you the gifts of Jupiter, recognizing what good has happened to you, reflecting on the gifts you've been given. While some things come easy, some things we have to work for. Some things we have to pray for. Sometimes we have to work just a little bit harder for things. Jupiter reminds you of its presence, its energy, its massive expansion, and how if sometimes you didn't have to work a little harder or pray for things, maybe you would assume all good things should happen to you all the time, helping us to become more grateful for the good things that do happen to us. The moments of luck, the moments of good timing. We can be grateful for those. And as Pluto moves back into the sky, as Jupiter moves back into the sky, Another planet steps forward. Below, down, lower in the sky. And this one seems to be kind of dark and not very bright. This planet reminds you, as it comes forward, it seems to be spinning in that backwards direction. And Pluto reminds you of everything you've been through since 2008. All the changes that have happened, all the things that have happened to your mind and your soul, how you've stepped away from those people that control you in a way that's not good, while you distance yourself from toxic people, how you've become stronger and more empowered, how you've awakened, changed, transformed. And this planet stops in front of you and then begins to spin forward. Spinning in front of you, reminding you that it's pushing you onto your path. And that everything that's happened in all these years is for good reason. And there's always a bigger view. And as Pluto takes itself back up into the sky, we step back and come to an understanding within our minds that there's always something bigger working out here, something larger, something we can't plan for, something unfolding, like origami unfolding before us. We call it life. I invite you to be grateful, find gratitude in your heart for being alive and present in this moment, in this here, in this now. Put your hand on your heart and take some deep breaths. And come back. Come back to the present. Wiggle your toes. Come back into your body in the here and now. Rainbow Astrology Forecast. Woohoo! Thank you, Bright Hawk. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
It's great. At first, I was going to just do Jupiter, and then Pluto just kind of fell out of my mouth, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing Pluto too.
They're both big players this
okay,
week.
they are big players.
Influence all of us, no matter where it is in your chart. And, for some people, it'll feel easier, and for other people in the whole world, Pluto's a big one for everybody.
Yeah.
Movement.
It's a big movement in the world. Trying to make sense of the world. This is a good place to tune in today. If you're trying to make sense of the world and understand what's happening to you, or, anything like that, just letting you know that there's a bigger reason for things. Okay. And it's usually bigger than we can imagine. So just want to say hi to the people that are watching us live, like Tracy. Hi, Tracy on YouTube, and Barbara Collins. We appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for coming in.
Aw.
We appreciate you listening to this forecast. This forecast is for Soulstrology. We actually do this every week, but we don't always do it live because we're not always available. So sometimes we just record it and release it. And this time we were going to record it, and I was like, well, it's already due now, so let's just
Say hi to
release
folks at the
it.
same time.
So here we are doing it live. Okay. So we'll also broadcast if you can't stick around right now or whatever. That's okay. It's no big deal. Just check us out on we're on pretty much every podcast platform, and you can also catch us on YouTube on Divine Androgen YouTube. Okay, if you look up Soulstrology or Rainbow Soulstrology forecast, you should find us. Okay, and you can also go to rainbowsoul.show, and that will also show you. So I want to pull up the slides that we usually use. Oh boy. Okay. Sometimes this doesn't always go well, so just give me a second, okay? Hopefully it will go right. Let me just double check because yeah, anyway. Okay, so I want to show everyone this is for October 7th to the 13th. This is a Soulstrology forecast. So if you have your astrology chart, I recommend that you get it, bring it up on your computer or print it out or whatever. I found that printing mine out, especially when I was learning, was really helpful.
Yeah.
Because then you can make notes right on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have mine hanging right next to my desk.
Yeah, because we still have to look back at our charts, and we've been studying our charts for years. Okay, so we're going to start this on October 7th, which is essentially today. And, today Mars is in Cancer, and I feel like it's part of that big trine that we talked about last week with Mars and Venus, which is actually really good. That's, it is about love and relationships, and Saturn in Pisces. Saturn in Pisces is retrograde, so if there's some reflection or something like that, it's all easy coming right now. It's coming together easily with that grand trine. There's lots of trines in the sky right now. You can see all those blue lines are trines, and you can see I can't point at things. So Mars is up there in Cancer, which is kind of like that blue sign that looks like 69. And it's actually supposed to be a crab. And then Venus is over there in Scorpio, which is also blue. And Saturn is in Pisces. And they're all blue because they're water signs, okay? And so that's a lot of water, but that's emotional healing. So that's good. So if you've been having some relationship issues through the eclipse in the last few weeks, I'd imagine maybe you found some healing, or you've at least come to some sort of peace about some things. There are a few squares in the sky. The sun and Mercury are squaring Mars, and Mars is also squaring Chiron, which is those red lines. And those are going to be like that energy of feeling like you want to take action, but there might be some things about relations, or like for me, I know it's just been about communicating with people. Just plain like, hey, Mama Cole, when do you want to go? Oh, you can't go. You're not feeling well. And there's a hurricane on the way to Florida. Maybe we should wait till Friday. Okay. Just like communicating with people. There might be a little bit of stress in that, have a little bit of trouble with that. Could also have some troubles with like anything that has to do with Chiron. It's going to really depend on where Chiron is in your chart. So where is Aries in your chart? So for me, I'm currently have a Chiron returns. So I have all kinds of health things adding to this. All kinds of stuff in my house of health because it's in my 6th house. So you want to look and see where is Aries in your chart, and that'll be where Chiron is. Mm-hmm. So that'll be.
And Sun is still conjunct Mercury opposite Chiron and in a T-square to Mars. So Mars is begging you to take action about your health, in my opinion. And maybe it's having a conversation that helps you realize it. It's totally, I feel like that T-square is a real opportunity. squares can be challenges, but they can also be real opportunities to, take action, recognize there's a need to move in the direction of whatever it is that's calling you, and listening to that calling.
And it's probably in whatever, like if your Chiron is in the house of relationships, it might be asking you to take action about that relationship, or about that job, or about that thing, that personal thing, or whatever it is. So you want to take a look, and if you see the pieces of pie there, you can see that each one has like a different zodiac symbol, and you can see the red, and it kind of looks like an air. It kind of looks like a I'm trying to think, horns, the horns on the top of a lamb, and it's
Ram.
on a ram's horns, and that's over there on the right hand side where the fifth piece of the pie is. See those numbers in the middle section? Those are the numbers of the pieces of the pie, or also known as the houses. Okay, so in this chart, Chiron is in the fifth house in Aries, but Chiron is in Aries wherever it is on your chart, wherever Aries lands on your astrology chart.
Right, exactly. And right now we have the moon is waxing, right? We just had a new moon last week, so now it's a beautiful silvery, crescent moon, and it's squaring Saturn. And so when we think about the moon in the astrology chart, and when we think about Saturn, those two are often mom, dad. Moon is mom, Saturn's dad. And so, in a square, they may be having a conversation about you.
Yeah.
And your destiny, because which could be a blessing, because the moon is trine the north node and sextile the south node. So again, not always comfortable squares, but also great opportunities to, again, move in the direction that life is calling you.
Yeah, for sure. Your destiny is calling you, especially with the moon there and a trine. A trine means it's coming together easily. A sextile also means that. It means that the differences are shed, and instead those two planets come together. So in your past, there might be something that is dropped from the past that you no longer need to hold on to. It could be a past relationship with that South Node in Libra, and with a trine to Aries, it could be about being independent or strong or on your own somehow, or taking lead or taking the reins. Okay, so that's pretty much where we're starting with the energy this week. There's a lot going on about communication in particular. I think those are the strongest energies, and Jupiter is beginning to station to go retrograde. So that's going to make Mercury even stronger. It is in a trine to Mercury, so that's good. Since Jupiter is in a trine, and it's in Gemini. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury's over there in Libra, and Jupiter and Libra are having an easy conversation. So on Tuesday, the mystic rectangle forms. I see a beautiful mystic rectangle there. There could be a lot of destiny things that just kind of come together. Things flow a little bit easier this week, especially with that grand trine, emotionality, and then with the mystic rectangle, maybe with any spiritual practices or any spiritual things that you've been working on. Those kinds of things are going to flow real easily in the next 2 days.
Yeah. Isn't there a grand cross there too?
Not quite, because it doesn't quite make a full square around. So
Jupiter opposite the moon.
Yeah, but a grand cross also has everything has to be in a square.
Okay.
So Jupiter would have to be in a square to Chiron. So it's not quite a grand cross, but there's a cross there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jupiter and Chiron are both at 21, so that's why. But they're in a sextile.
Right. That's right.
Interesting. Wow. Look at that. I didn't even quite catch that when I.
But they're in a mystic rectangle. You can see the rectangle
so
there.
Now. Yeah.
And that minor trine still going on down there. That's been going on for quite some time now.
Almost
with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. But that's about to change, because Pluto will go direct at the end of the week. But anyway, on Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to say that it's going to be pretty flowy energy, especially around emotions, spirituality, and probably also communication. So I feel like the communication is really going to pick up in the early parts of the week. It's going to be easier to communicate about things. Hopefully people will be able to hear you. And I think also with Gemini, there's a level of education going on, and there's a level of Gemini usually also seeks to understand, and that's Jupiter in Gemini. So it's also trying to make the wrongs right, and that's Jupiter in Gemini. So I think that's pretty good Monday and Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. And then I see on Wednesday, again, we have
Wednesdays when Jupiter actually goes retrograde.
Right. So Jupiter actually goes retrograde on this day, but it's still in a trine to Mercury and the Sun. So I don't think that's going to change so much of the communication ability, but you might change what you're saying, or you might want to review what you said. And you might be like, wait a minute, I'm not sure I said exactly what I meant. Ooh, and I know I am even having an experience like that right now. So if you find yourself reviewing, maybe you do need to go back and say something, especially since Pluto is also going direct, especially if it had anything to do with power and control, and like maybe if you are above or in power, or the other person, or maybe the other person is in power and what they said was inappropriate or something like that. If anything, like if you're reviewing what you said or reviewing what was said, you might need to review that or talk it out with the other person or anything like that. So I do see that going on. There's also a yod pointing at Venus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like and Venus is in Scorpio.
And I think it perfects the next day. Yeah.
Wow.
We have 2 yods actually.
Okay.
But sticking to October 9th for just a minute on Wednesday. Wednesday might not feel as comfortable as Tuesday did. That's what I'm going to say. So first things first, in the morning at 5:53 a.m. Mountain Time, for about 4 hours this time, which, for yods, I'm getting ahead of myself because we started talking about the yod.
Yeah.
So for the void of course moon, this means, this is a good time to take the morning to take care of yourself, maybe meditate, do your practice. Void of course moons is a time where we're in transition from one sign to the next on the moon. And it's a good time not to initiate things, but to no drama. There's just not a lot of energy. So take the energy that there is for yourself.
Yeah, don't try to do anything. Don't put anything out unless you want it to go out with no notice. Like you want to file your taxes. I don't think that's happening right now. But if you want it to not be noticed, then
that's a
yes,
good time to do it.
But if you want something to be noticed and stuff, you might want to wait until after 9:30 Mountain Time.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, when the moon switches from Sagittarius, and of course the ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter, that means the moon answers to Jupiter. Now the moon is in Capricorn, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So we're kind of back to mom and dad having a conversation. And now the moon, and this is the part where I said it might not be as comfortable, it's squaring the nodes. So that trine helps you feel your destiny, and now you might be questioning it, or gosh, did I bite off more than I can chew? Can I deliver? Am I capable? And those kind of things. When we go from Sagittarius, it's a fire sign, and so the moon sparkles in Sag, but when we move into Capricorn, it's much cooler. And so the passion, the energy that you had the day before might not feel the same. And those who are strongly ruled by their moons, we notice these things.
Yeah, and I'm noticing that in conjunct, that yod, that finger of God, that's happening from Jupiter, Chiron, pointing at Venus, which it's almost like perfect degrees. It's only, and I guess tomorrow it still be there. probably be even more perfect. So I'm
Yeah.
going to say Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
And Venus in Scorpio is in its detriment.
Yeah.
That is not good. That is afflicted, and it's an afflicted Venus in Scorpio. It's opposite Uranus in Taurus. So it just makes me think about if there's anything going on. It's a funny thing because just today, sometimes some people, I just want to mention this, sometimes some people in their charts are a little bit like ahead of everyone else astrologically. It doesn't mean they're smarter, doesn't mean they're better, doesn't mean they're faster. Well, their life might work at a faster rate, but there's some of us that things happen faster, and then there's some people that were kind of right on time, and then there's some people that are kind of trail behind. It's no reflection or judgment, it just is. Okay, it's sort of like being in line for ice cream. Okay, like, okay, and that's it. And just because you got your ice cream first, maybe the machine isn't that cool, and so it's all really melting. Okay, so like don't assume that being first is better. And so, well, because people make that assumption. But just today, I happen to be looking at some things about some women talking about some things that happen to them in a sexual nature. And sometimes Venus and Scorpio will bring those kinds of things up that are afflicted. So like if you've been sexually assaulted or I'm not trying to trigger people, but those conversations could actually come up. But what I want to say is those things are meant to happen. Okay. And there could be some communication that needs to happen around them, because I'm noticing at the same time, Venus is trine Mars, which says you must take action. And Jupiter in Gemini, which is at the bottom of the yod, is trine Mercury and the sun. So that means the conversation about it is going to happen in a good way, and that's a good thing. So if you're dealing with that kind of stuff right now, I just want to validate you, and I want to say that your conversation is meant to be happening right now, and so you're doing a great job. Keep doing it, keep following. It's meant to happen. So if you ever thought it wasn't, not that the person was meant to harm you, but
I just have to jump in. The headlines every day. There is a headline about P. Diddy, the rapper.
Yes.
This is like, justice has come for you. This
for
chart,
sure.
well, you can't make it up,
Especially with Jupiter over there in Gemini, because Jupiter in Gemini is making wrongs right. And so now this is going to make us review the wrongs and say, wait a minute, how wrong was that? And then Chiron in Aries is very about the wounding that is. And they're both in conjunct, which is hard to balance or hard to make right. And it's hard to make those kinds of attacks right, regardless of even if a person apologizes. I still think it's hard to make it right. And I think anyone that's suffered from that has definitely experienced that. And that's that Venus in Scorpio. So I just want to point that out. It could also have to do with like broke in trust in relationships, or relationship problems, or a lack of passion, or anything like that has to do with like the disorientation of a relationship, about love. And it can also involve sex and sexual inappropriateness. Okay. So and so that's Wednesday and Thursday, because I imagine it's going to perfect on that day. On Thursday, it's going to become perfect, which could make it very challenging. I'm going to say the most challenging. This is probably the most challenging day. And I'm just going to say, I think that's a Grand Cross, Bright Hawk. See how everything's in square now? So Mars is squaring the sun is squaring the moon is squaring Chiron, and then the Chiron is squaring Mars there, and then it has a so not everybody counts asteroids like Chiron, but I would, especially in today's world as we become more aware of trauma and generational trauma.
Wow.
We could really feel it on Thursday. With women, in particular, and it could mean other things, especially with Jupiter retrograde in Gemini and Chiron retrograde at the bottom of the yods. There could be women mistreated. Makes me worry about Kamala Harris. If I was on her team, I'd be like, let's be extra careful on Thursday. And so we should just, be a little careful on Thursday. Not just for women, but just for anything that has to do with money, resources, relationships, and definitely women for sure. But also money and relationships.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense. And the moon isn't exactly in an easy aspect either. So it's still in Capricorn. So now it's opposite Mars. And it's in a T-square with the Sun and Mercury. And it's also square Chiron. So yeah, we are in a grand cross right there.
Yeah, it's a grand cross, and then Pluto at that point is sort of,
and you don't
still
see this
Pluto
all the time,
is no,
so.
You don't see this a lot. I would say this would probably be a difficult day, so the week could probably start out pretty good, but by the time we get to Wednesday, Thursday, it also makes me think about because Pluto is about to go direct, it makes me worry a little bit about like the hurricane in the south, and other things like that. It just may not be a pretty week, especially when we get to Thursday. It could brew on Wednesday and then sort of show itself on Thursday, and then Friday. And at this point, Pluto and the moon are conjunct. Wow. Okay. And then although they're in a trine, but Pluto is about to go direct, which everybody's going to feel on the planet.
Yeah. There's no getting away from that. For sure.
Now, while the Grand Cross has ended on Thursday, I still think that there's going to be the energy of Pluto preparing to go direct. And Pluto, you'll probably feel that most of the week, even Wednesday, Thursday. Pluto's a big planet. We'll kind of feel the buildup. And the thing about Pluto is that this is the end of its story. And so Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. It stays in a sign for 20 years, approximately 20 years. And and sometimes it's a little bit less, and because it moves at different speeds and la la la. Okay, but it's been there, I'm pretty sure, since 2008, since the market crash. And we felt it because the market crashed in 2008. You can go take a look, and Capricorn rules money and Pluto rules power and control, which, as you all know, I don't have to tell you that money and power and all of those things are all wrapped up into the market, right? We all know that. I don't have to educate you on that. And now the whole time, also, the United States Pluto is, so the United States is having its Pluto returns, and the United States has Pluto at 20, I think it's at 27 degrees. And so we really felt that. I think it was around, the whole January 6th, and all the things that have happened have all been related to Pluto and Capricorn. And Pluto in Capricorn, direct or forward, is saying one very important thing. Is this really what you want? Is this how you want to run your country? And I think no matter what side somebody is on, everyone would agree that there's something incredibly wrong with the way our system is set up right now. There's so many inequalities. There's so many problems. There's so many things that most of us would agree. And actually, I think it's fascinating that we've watched over in the last few weeks as more and more people are talking across the lines, since we all feel so separated by the Pluto return of the United States. As we all start to come back, we start to say, as Pluto ends its story, wait a minute, there's a lot of stuff we agree on here, because there is. And what we're recognizing is that the people in power and control, which are not just our leaders, but the media and everything else, has created separation. And that's what Pluto is to do. Pluto's to come and say, hey, do you realize the effect power and control have had on your society? And that's pretty much what Pluto's story has been because that's Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which has ruled the system. It definitely rules our government and everything underneath of our government and how we do things and how our systems work. And you may have even seen this in your life. I know that if I reflect back just on my personal life since 2008, oh my gosh, I left a cult. I left my husband right before that. And I came out, and I have been married and divorced and remarried since then. We have traveled the entire country. We have done a nonprofit. Yeah, we traveled the entire country in an RV. We questioned the way we handled our elders in nursing homes. We questioned our own purpose here on earth. And that's what I mean. Is like, even if you just look back at your own life, you're like, wow, yeah, like my whole system has changed. A lot has changed since 2008. And so Pluto wants you to reflect on that. Pluto wants you to look at that. And that's what we've been doing. And now as Pluto moves direct, it wants to finish the story. And it wants to make sure you have everything in place before it moves into Aquarius. And it will be moving into Aquarius in November, which will be challenging. But it's saying, do you have everything in place? Because here we go. Hold on for the next chapter, because when Pluto moves into Aquarius, I think it's going to be a different story.
Oh my God.
It's going to be a completely different energy.
Story.
Yeah.
As different as Capricorn is from Aquarius. That's how different the story
They are
be.
so different. Aquarius is all like spiritual and like, like we have to bring the collective together. And Capricorn's like, do the right thing. Do it right. Who's in control here? Okay, that's Capricorn. And Aquarius is like, hey, everybody deserves rights, okay? We're all equal here. It's all very different.
Very community-minded, very, fairness-minded and creative.
Right.
Why do we have to keep doing it the same way? We should try it this way.
Aquarius is all about trying new things. Aquarius also rules medicine and AI. And so
everybody's been talking about AI.
And Pluto has already been in Aquarius once, has come back and said, just checking on you, making sure that you're done here. Is there anything else that needs to change before I go? And then Pluto's going to go into Aquarius and things are going to change. It's going to get huge. It's going to be big. And yes, AI is going to play a role. Yes, medicine is going to play a role. And I know even just for me, watching medicine grow around like the genetic heart condition that I've been challenged with, and watching all the different kinds of medicine change, it's changing every day. And I'm really happy about that, because I think it needs to change.
Yeah. And with the moon is conjuncting Pluto and stepping into Aquarius. So the moon goes void in the afternoon, just before 4:00. It goes for about 35 minutes this time, 39 minutes Mountain Time. Around 4:00. Take a break, man.
Yeah, so don't do anything special during that time. Don't put anything out there. Take a break. Go relax. Go sit in your recliner.
And if you need to have a non-dramatic conversation, like you need to ask somebody and they're just always drama, and you're just like, I just want this to be a really short conversation. Have it then. See, this is what you're all here to learn. How to take advantage of the stars.
That's right. Yeah. And so I really feel like I wish I could call Kamala Harris and warn her that the astrology is showing. I wish I could warn all women out there. But yeah, I should just say, with Venus in Scorpio, with the yod pointing at it that way, I would just be very careful about things.
Thursday.
But it's still there on Friday.
Yeah.
It's only 1 degree, that Venus only moves like a degree a day or something.
Right.
So yeah, so it will move out of there by the weekend though.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, you'll be dealing with it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Right.
And you'll be having hopefully great conversation, which I really think Jupiter is really going to help us have good conversation about that.
Yeah. And that moon T-square the top of it is Mercury. So moon opposite Mars with T-square to Mercury, have the conversation.
Yeah. And that grand trine that comes together for the weekend.
Isn't that beautiful?
That's in air. So that's really going to help us process things. I feel like the moon is going to help us process things. Pluto has gone direct, hopefully helping us feel like, wait, I think we're on the right track, and I think we've got this right, and I think this is the direction. You're going to have a good idea of what direction you're supposed to be going as Pluto moves direct, but you're going to feel it this week. You're going to feel Pluto go direct. You're going to feel things kind of go a little wonky probably in the news, especially because isn't that an anaretic degree or something like
For
that?
sure.
29 degrees. So that makes it like super public, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So that'll probably be, something in the news, okay? And then with Gemini also is very public, because if you didn't know, pretty much every single presidential candidate has major Gemini placements.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Because when we think of Gemini, for those of you who don't know, Gemini's ruled by the great communicator, Mercury. And of course, Gemini's air, so it's a fast thinker, generally speaking, and it's mutable. So Gemini is willing to be flexible, listen, and of course it's the twins. So sometimes Geminis have a hard time sticking to a decision, because there's this view and then I can totally see this view.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's, now this also makes Gemini notorious. They have a reputation, whether they deserve it or not, as being mutable with the truth, because it's mutable, and maybe it's the sin of omission, kind of. I didn't tell you the whole story because I didn't think you needed to know.
Right. That's usually how it goes.
That's usually how it goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jupiter and Gemini is definitely all about communication, and politicians. Don't they sound like they fit all of these characteristics?
They usually forget to tell us things. And some people have more Gemini placements than others. And some people definitely have, and it doesn't mean every Gemini is a liar. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is just that the truth for them might be a little different than the way a Scorpio or a Virgo or a Sagittarius sees truth. And so that can sometimes create discourse. And some people are more Gemini. And then it also depends on your moral status, like who you are morally. And, there's lots of other placements in the chart that can lead to that, especially planets like Mars and Venus. And the moon can show us who you are. And, I even think that sometimes Pluto and its aspects in your chart can show us a lot about who you are.
Well, so right now we have all the what we call the outer planets are retrograde, except now Pluto has come direct, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we talk about Pluto and Uranus and even Neptune, we talk about those as being generational planets.
Right.
So the Pluto generation of right now would be going from Capricorn to Aquarius, right? So I find it fascinating, because there are some of us born in the 60s that are the Pluto-Uranus generation, because Pluto and Uranus were conjunct for a really long time, a number of years. And so guess who else is? Tim Walz and Kamala Harris.
Oh, yeah.
We are of that same time period.
Yeah, but that's revolutionary. And Pluto is about bringing transformation, and Uranus is about revolution.
And Aquarius is about the we. So
right.
Isn't it fascinating that all of this is happening, and now we're entering in a time of, like you said, we're done with separation. We're back to, let's come together, folks. It makes a lot more sense, doesn't it?
Right. Thank God. I can't wait till Uranus is out of Taurus. Maybe they'll stop picking on queers.
And, and of course, when we talk about an air sign, I always think mental. And of course, so the players are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Aquarius is the fixed sign, Libra is the cardinal sign, and Gemini is the mutable. So it speaks to how air moves between those three signs and how you may be thinking differently by the end of the weekend. In a good way, I think, because it's a trine. It'd be like, "Ooh, gosh, that was so much fun."
Yeah, and that trine just gets stronger over on Sunday. I really think like the weekend's going to feel a lot better. You're probably going to feel a lot of conclusions to things. There still might be some things that are still lingering out there in relation to that Venus and Scorpio. But I mean, it will still be wrong, right? There's, like I said, you can't really rectify those things. And so that still might feel wrong, but there will still be some resolution. There will still be some emotional processing and some action taken. And so I think we'll, because that T square with Mars is still happening with the Sun and Chiron, and I think those will still be the actions. So I think it will be okay. I think by the end of the weekend. And then what do we have? A void moon that night, Sunday night?
For a number of hours. So again, most people take time off on Sundays. Hopefully you can take the whole afternoon, evening off, because the moon is void, which again means like it's chill. There's not a lot of emotional energy from 2:10 p.m. in the afternoon Mountain Time to almost 8 o'clock Mountain Time. And that's just another great indicator of it's time to take care of me.
It's a good time. Yeah, it's a good time for that, right? And I just think, as we move forward with this, by the way, guys, don't fall for the scammers. Real readers will never, ever message you, in case you didn't know that. Barbara Collins, you're a Capricorn. I wonder where your sun is. Like what degree it is in Capricorn. So if you've been experiencing a lot of change and transformation, that's probably what's been going on. So Barbara Collins, I feel for you being a Capricorn right now, but Pluto's going to be out of there very soon. So I'm sure you've already had your transformation and your change, or it's happening right now. And whatever it is, just know that Pluto just wanted you to change your system so that you can go forward, okay? And I totally encourage everyone to take a look at your chart, see what's in Capricorn, see what's in Aquarius, because Pluto's headed its way, and see what's in Libra, what's in Gemini, right? Because in your chart, whatever Gemini is in, Jupiter is going retrograde in there, and you should also see where is your Jupiter, okay? And so those are good ways to sort of get to know your chart a little bit and really process your astrology chart in a good way, so that way you can take a look and you can have a good idea of how it's going to affect you directly, okay? So where is your Scorpio? Where's Scorpio for you? Yeah. See, Barbara said that it's definitely been difficult lately, but I'm trying to remain strong for sure. Well, Barbara, just if you just keep reassuring yourself that this whole Pluto and Capricorn thing, and if you've lost somebody, Pluto often represents death and mediumship and everything around death. So all of the other side, and all of that is represented by Pluto. Okay.
And that can mean the end of a relationship, the end of a job, the cycle of life, right? Some things have beginnings and endings, and that's often what Pluto will bring, and I am constantly reminding myself we don't suffer for no reason. Sometimes we can't see it in the moment. We definitely have to get a little altitude and distance and time to go,
right.
I think I understand now why that happened. I think I get what life is asking, how life is asking me to change. This morning I was feeling like I need to really, in my gratitude practice, working with even the shitty things we can give thanks for, because it makes us appreciate the really good things, right? So I'm always really grateful for astrology, because it really helps you sort of get a lay of the territory, an idea about, Okay, most of these things don't last forever. One day might be easier than another day, and one day might be like blessed, beautiful. And the other day might be, okay, we just have to make a nice cup of tea, take it moment to moment,
Right.
Whatever it is.
But see, Barbara, you lost your husband 2.5 weeks ago, and it'll be 3 weeks on Thursday. But Pluto's going to go direct, so be open to what might happen. So if I was talking to you, I'd recommend that you get a reading this weekend. So if I was going to say anything about a timing for if you wanted a mediumship reading, I would say get a reading this weekend. Don't get it on Thursday or Friday because your grief might block you, but get it on the weekend so that way you can feel what it is that's happening. Okay. So you can sort of come together. They were together for 20 years. See, and that's what I mean. So like Pluto is in Capricorn where your sun is. And so it probably not only makes you think of losing your husband, but also makes you question your own vitality because sun represents vitality for us.
Right.
And so Pluto, it's usually there's several layers of the message that the planets are saying to us. And this is why I do death chart readings, because when we look at the astrology birth chart and the death chart together, it very much shows the person's life and the deep meaning behind that and all the depth and a different sort of the universe's perspective of your loved one's life. And then when I add your chart to it, I can say, oh, you guys were soulmates. You guys have been together for 20 years. You guys must have been soulmates, and this is how you got along. These are the challenges you had, and it was all meant to be. And so sometimes we get really caught up in what's wrong right now and how this is happening right now. And instead of asking yourself, why me, why now, instead, hopefully the astrology can help you understand to instead ask, what am I supposed to learn from this? What's supposed to come of this? Okay. And that's exactly what we're saying about the whole thing is what's happening this week? What are the energies like this week? Why are we doing it this way this week? Why is it this way? And if you're looking at the news, if you're looking at what's happening in the world and you're like, not now, right? Okay. Or you're feeling worried or scared, just know that it's all meant to go down this way for a reason. And, if you got some warnings or anything like that, I would definitely listen to them by like Thursday, because that's going to be the day. Wednesday, Thursday, that's going to be the day. And, that's going to probably be a hard day, definitely for the people in Florida. But hopefully there'll also be some other people in the world that will also maybe see some big changes. Okay. And so just hang in there, friends, and just know that the universe is speaking a different language, and sometimes it's hard to understand it, and sometimes I'm scratching my head too. Okay. And I just want to say that
I have to say, I'm so sorry for your loss. And 3 weeks, it happened during the eclipse window. So a lot of us see during eclipses are endings and beginnings. So there's always 2 weeks between either the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. This time the lunar eclipse was first, the solar eclipse was second. It's a really intense time. That's why we talk about it so much as astrologers. It always is a portal. It's when
sort of like the door opens.
Whoa. For sure. I could see it just when you said it, for sure. So this is this time, and typically the fall, we're very aware of the veils are thinner, time of Samhain's coming. There's a different sense in the air right now, and that's real. And your sense of, wow, I dreamt of so and so last night, they've been dead for however long they've been gone. Definitely wouldn't be surprised at all that you have visitors in your dreams. You have a memory of somebody who is dear to you. This is part of what happens during eclipse season. That's why we talk about it a lot.
Yeah. So, it happens. And here we are now with Jupiter going retrograde and Pluto going direct. could be a challenging week for some of us, for a lot of us. Some of us might feel it stronger than others. It will definitely depend on where your placements are and what your chart looks like. And so I'm going to pull 3 cards for everybody. And these cards are meant to reflect this week's reading and help you more deeply understand. This is the 4 of Pentacles. And this is really about our resources. This is about saving, sitting on what we have, saving our resources, saving our money, saving whatever resources we might have, being conservative about that. That's what this is 4 of Pentacles. And this is in relation to the past. So the money we've saved, the money we've been more, fair about, or like been sort of holding on to our resource, not just money, it could be other resources as well that you're holding on to and trying to hold on to in the past. And now this is a very strong card for the here and now this week. This is the Magician card. This is all about this is a very cool card. By the way, this entire deck is LGBTQ, and it was done by a different LGBTQ artist, each piece of art. And this clearly is a very special person who is presenting their magic in the most amazing way. It's also very Capricorn. And so you're like, oh my gosh, that's very Capricorn there. And it's the magician, and you can see it's kind of like a goat or something, which is the sign for Capricorn. But it's also making you remember your own magic, remember your own power, and to be empowered in that power, and to hold your own power going forward. So remember the resources you've saved in the past and holding your own power going forward. And then as we go forward into the future, this is about the gifts that will come. This is the 6 of Cups. So this is a positive. These are gifts or treats and things, special things that will come to us as a result of our actions in this week. So be generous, be kind, be compassionate. That's what this is about, is to remind us that while things could be challenging for a while, life is amazing and then it sucks. To quote Michael Franti, life is amazing and then it sucks and then it's amazing again. So, that's what's going to happen, and that's that reminder. So this card, as I said, is in the past, and it's a reminder of our resources and how we've held on to our resources and saved and prepared and been ready. This is really about saving them and being prepared. And then this is the here and now. This is your magic and bringing your own personal power forward to help you stay in your power, to stay on top of your cliff, your mountain, right? With that mountain goat like that. And how your thoughts, because that's why the sword there and the emotion, which is the cup there, is upright. And you can see they have a power necklace on. They're holding on to their sword. They're keeping their thoughts straight and forward. And as we go forward, remember, life sucks. And then it's amazing. And then it sucks. And then it's amazing again. Okay. And so that's the 6 of Cups. And that's what this is about, is to remind you that goodness will come later. And there will be a sun in the sky. There will be ice cream. There will be treats. And that's exactly what this is about. So I'm glad you all have been here today. I'm glad to share this astrology forecast with you. I hope that you're able to understand the forecast. I know it sounds like Greek sometimes, but if you listen, we usually explain what it means. And one of the ways that I think we learned astrology was listening to weekly forecasts.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. You're speaking up, Barbara. We send you all the best. Thank you so much. And we hope that when you listen to the forecast, that you have a better appreciation for, we're all going through it. We're all going through it together, and we could definitely tell you more if you get a reading with Hollis. You can't believe how many things you'll learn and have aha moments about.
We all have a unique personal self. We're all on our own unique path.
Absolutely.
So just be aware that there could be, unique, dynamic life path things that are leading you forward right now. So don't, just always remember, the planets are always trying to help you get on your path. They're always trying to help you. It's not about punishing. So people like think like Mercury retrograde, for instance, they'll be like, Mercury's retrograde, bad things are going to happen. Not necessarily. Maybe, but not necessarily. And the more we get in tune with astrology, the more we realize that everything's happening for a reason. And so,
right.
Yeah.
The wonderful comment, life is happening for you, not to you.
There
right?
we go.
So
Yep.
we wish you all the very, very best. Many, many thanks for your comments, your likes, your subscribing really makes a big, huge difference. And we wish you all the very best of weeks. And thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soulstrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoy this dose of Soulstrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.